Number 4, loaded down with 2 logging cars, typical of what the very early trains in Michigan would look like. Engine number 4 is a 1904 oil-fired steam engine, worked most of its life in Mexico. Now, the logging industry was one of the first industries in Michigan, and it's been stated that between 1830 and 1870, enough white pine was cut into boards that the entire state could have been covered in a layer of white pine board. Engine number 4 is a 1904 32-ton oil-fired steam engine. And because of its size, we're not sure that that engine could even pull the train that we're riding on today. But it's not going to pull anything because it requires a new boiler. So we may never see engine number 4 operate here in Crosby. Over on the right-hand side is beautiful Mont Lake. Mont Lake was created in 1972 with the completion of a 1,500-foot-long dam known as Mont Dam or Stepping Stone Falls. Stepping Stone Falls is a light and water feature at the east end of the dam, and it's open to the general public free of charge. There's a nice little park over there, and if you go there in the evening, you will see the lights changing color as the water cascades over the Manway Falls. Mont Dam blocks up the Flint River, creating a lake about 4.5 miles long. Average depth is 8 feet, with the deepest being 8 feet. It is a good fishing lake. It has a public boat launch and a public beach. And it will be out there on our right-hand side most of our outbound journey.
Yeah, steam engine.
We are now entering the friendly community of Genesee. Genesee used to be one of the 5 original stops along the Huckleberry line. It was a lumber stop. And then from here we go to Rogersville, Otisville, Otterley, and Fostoria. Fostoria was known as the turnaround time. So a typical day for the Huckleberry Railroad was to leave Fostoria at 7:30 in the morning, head westbound into Flint.
Wrong spot.
And then they would turn around and go back to Fostoria in the evening. Now the town of Genesee is located in the county of Genesee, the township of Genesee, the school district of Genesee, and in a couple of minutes we're going to be crossing Genesee Road. And the very early settlers of Genesee, Michigan came from a small town in upstate New York, Genesee, New York. Now we're soon going to hear that engineer blow a sequence of whistles, a 2 long, a short, and a long. And what did we say that meant? That means we're going to be going across the road. And then when the engineer starts blowing that last long whistle, the engine will be right on the edge of the roadbed and he will blow until he gets to the other side. So if you listen, you can tell where that engine is in relationship to the highway that we're crossing. And when we go across the road, all those cars will just stop. Goes across the highway. Give them a great big wave out there. We got to keep those people as your coach goes across the highway. Now the next horn is going to be a little shorter. There's the short one. The The next long whistle will start when the engine is right on the edge of the road bed, and he will blow until he gets to the other side. Well, the next time you're waiting for a modern day freight or an Amtrak, you listen, and these are the exact signals that you're going to hear coming from that modern day freight. Speed today is around 15 to 18 miles an hour. Not very fast by today's standards. That's almost twice as fast as what trains would have traveled on this line back in the 1880s. But back in the 1880s, what was your alternative means of transportation? Well, you could walk. That's good for 3 to 4 miles an hour. Everybody knows that a horse can run 30 miles an hour for a short distance. That horse averages around 5 to 7 miles an hour. Trains along this route would travel 9 to 12. Now, people were very leery about doing any sustained traveling at much more than 12 miles an hour. Because it was thought that if we were traveling more than 12 miles an hour, the wind pushing on our chest would keep us from exhaling. As strange as that may sound, if we couldn't exhale, when the train come into the next town or water tower, we'd all be dead. Not a good thing for the railroad. So they kept the speed below 12 miles an hour. But if you go back to the 1950s, Chuck Yeager was trying to break the sound barrier. And every time those test pilots would get anywhere around 700 miles an hour, they said the plane would begin to shake and they were seeing strange lights. But they conquered that. They got it figured out. Now they go many times the speed of sound and they'll even take you and me with them. So.
Well, this is politics to wonderful.
Now there's a sequence of whistles we haven't heard yet. It's a long and a short. It's a warning. The engineer could use that warning signal anytime he sees people or animals along the track. But this time we are approaching the Butternut Creek Trestle. And trestle is just the bridge for the train. Doesn't have any guardrails. But there's not room for a person or an animal and a train on the trestle at the same time. So he blows out a warning signal telling anyone or any animal that the train's coming through, and it's time for them to skedaddle. Now this will be our highest point of our journey today. As we go across the Butternut Creek trestle, we'll be approximately 26 feet above the water.
Is trestle. That one. Huh?
Center is the home for the Genesee County Fair, which will be taking place out here next week, the second week of August. And this was originally a dump. The Huckleberry Railroad was the trash haulers for the city of Flint. It would bring the trash out here. And the city of Flint would raise hogs out here and dump out here. And they would unload gondolas. Another warning signal. There have been people out here along the fence taking pictures of the train all morning long. The city of Flint raised hogs out here. This was known as the hog farm. So they would unload the trash, let the hogs rut through it, and then supplement them with grain. That was a common practice. The farmers would slop their hogs and then supplement them with grain. And then when they would butcher the hogs, they would take to the port, to the Lapeer State Home, or Whaley Home, downtown Flint, as a home for 80 cows. Now if you look up front, you can see engine 152. That's a 1920 38-ton coal-fired steam engine pulling our train. If you look over your left shoulder, you're going to see a little red caboose coming around behind. The little red caboose was built in 1880. It is the oldest coach on the train today. Why and how come is the Huckleberry Railroad here? Well, in 1872, the Flint River Railroad Authority was looking for an east-west connection from Flint to Port Huron. But the Flint River Railroad Authority was essentially a bridge building company, and they did not have money enough to lay one rail. They needed to find a partner, and they found a partner in the form of the Pierre Marquette Railroad Company. Now, the Pierre Marquette Railroad Company was one of the larger railroad companies in Michigan, ran all over the lower peninsula as well as in the UP. And if you were to get your compass out, you'd see that we're going off on a northeasterly direction to get to about 66 miles due east of Flint. Why? Because the Pierre Marquette had a line running from Saginaw to the north to Port Huron. And it was the Pierre Marquette's intent to tie the Huckleberry line into that diagonal at the town of Silverwood, turn and go southeast into Port Huron. But we never made it. Why? Because 9 miles south of here is the Grand Trunk Western Railroad, or the CNN Railroad today. They too were looking for that same east-west connection from Flint to Port Huron. And they took a more direct route. They went right straight east, and they got there first. Once that east-west connection was made between Flint and Port Huron, the Pierre Marquette Railroad Company, the builder of the Huckleberry line, did not believe that two towns of Flint and Port Huron could support two commercial east-west railroads profitably. So the Pierre Marquette gave up on this line after laying just 24.5 miles of track. We were 11 miles short of our destination of Silverwood. If we would have laid another 11 miles of track, we too would have been turning southeast and going into Port Huron. But this railroad was used commercially for exactly 100 years, from 1872 until 1972. In 1947, the Chesapeake and Ohio, or the C&O Railroad, bought out the Pierre Marquette. So from 1947 until 1972, this railroad was owned and operated by the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad.